issues of freedom of expression. When it comes to freedom of expression, it's absolutely clear there are limits to it when it comes to hate speech, harmful disinformation, the incitement to violence. So I hope that all those who look at that strategy and you analyze it are doing it very much in recognition of the incredible path that Europe, and in particular the European Union, have had over the last couple of decades to build indeed a continent that is built on peace, human rights and dignity, with all the issues that there are. As always, there are issues, but it's important to honor that incredible achievement for humanity. When it comes to Venezuela, and in particular, not so much Venezuela, I mean, obviously concerned about the tensions that exist. It's clear that, I mean, my overarching concern is the human rights issues in Venezuela themselves. I have been extremely vocal about how we see the situation. We also know that any escalation is not in the interest of anyone. And so our call is always for de-escalation, for finding a way to deal with this through constructive engagement between the two countries. When it comes to the events, especially what you referred to in the Caribbean, as you know, I've been extremely clear. I consider them a violation of international law, in particular international human rights law. I have asked for prompt, independent investigations. We have seen a debate now in the US, in Congress as well, about these strikes, and I hope that they will lead to a prompt, serious investigation that is independent, so that we can get to the bottom of what has happened there. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. I've then got Jamie and Mohammed, and we'll come to you. Thank you. Go on.
Sorry if I'm cutting in on anyone. I wanted to ask about Sudan. I also want to ask about the Trump administration, but I'll restrict myself to one question. Can you tell us a little bit about an update that you might have about the fate of these tens of thousands of people who were not able to flee the RSF attacks on El Fasher? And could you explain your current thinking about the phrase, whether or not crimes against humanity have been committed there? I know that some special rapporteurs have used that language. What's the state of your reflection on that? And just in general, the types of crimes that you've documented so far in El Fasher? Because you mentioned, of course, Kordofan, that you're fearful that it may be the next El Fasher.
Thank you so much. My name is Mohammed, from a reporter of Turkey's Anadolu News Agency. My question is about Gaza and Israel, and the following the Israel's actions in Gaza, the effectiveness of international law being questioned worldwide. What do you think needs to be done to regain this trust and ensure Israel's accountability? And what is the role of the UN and the member states in this regard? Thank you.
Beyza Dönmez, Anadolu's English Wire. I also want to ask about Gaza, especially it's been said that we are close to the second phase of the ceasefire. Hamas officials have said that more pressure must be put on Israel to reach an agreement on the phase 2. And also, after the ceasefire, we see about 400 people being killed. So, well, how do you evaluate that? And also, there has been Israel's military chief saying that the yellow line that divides Gaza under Donald Trump's ceasefire plan is new border now. And what is your comment on that? Thank you.
Look, on Al Fasher, we have been able to send teams to Chad, but also to North Sudan. So we had a chance to interview witnesses from what happened in Al-Fasher independently from each other, which I think for us is very important because, as you know, we have a very strict methodology when it comes to documenting serious human rights violations and atrocity crimes. And the pattern that emerges that thousands of people had been killed within a very short period of time, end of October. We don't know the exact number, but we are talking about thousands, not just hundreds. We are talking about thousands of people that have been killed. There were summary executions. There were people who were trying to leave Al-Fasher who were killed when they tried to leave. There were very strong, there were witness statements about rape and gang rape, including in front of family members. There were attacks also, and there was abductions for ransom. There was widespread looting. So yes, we are talking about very serious atrocity crimes, war crimes for sure, potentially also crimes against humanity. We are talking about plus there is the ethnically motivated violence that has come into play as well, which then puts us into the territory of crimes against humanity. So yes, we have an extremely serious situation. Let's also not forget that there were 18 months of siege, and that siege was brutal, with people not being able to eat much and with famine being declared. My worry is that the international community watches what's happening now in Kordofan, and we cannot allow a repeat of this absolutely horrific situation in Kordofan. And we really need to see an all-out effort to see a cessation of hostilities, to see a cessation to come back to not peace agreement, but also civilian rule, because we don't have civilian rule. Let's not forget that as well. On Gaza and Israel, of course, international law is international law. It doesn't get changed because it's not respected or when it's breached in a massive way. Unfortunately, that's what it is. We should be very grateful that we have international law, including international humanitarian law and international human rights law, because it gives us a base and a measure to assess situations. And accountability is critical. We very often forget about accountability, and in particular in this case, but in any other case as well, accountability also means beyond the domestic side, because, as you know, we have had our issues with the domestic accountability mechanisms in Israel that we don't think are working. We need international accountability. And as you know, there's an ongoing ICC process.